The Justice Files. The Justice Files. The Justice Files. The Justice Files. You got no damn right. The Justice Files.
Disclaimer. The information in this video is not meant as legal advice and is not meant to harass anyone, but is an attempt to make a lawful private arrest according to the rule of law and during a time of secret societies and widespread official corruption. Some of the evidence presented is done under fair use that permits the use of copyrighted and other material to achieve a public benefit. I, Randy LaHoo, will continue hearing witness testimony in my internationally recognized common law court of record organized under the law of nations. I, Randy LaHoo, understand that I am still sworn to my oath of truth as I continue providing statements and information in this matter that seeks to effect a lawful arrest as part of a continuing common law fresh pursuit of known violators. Probable cause evidence, concealment, conflict of interest, records tampering, official corruption, civil violations of Title 42 United States Code Section 1983. On November 15th, 2017, the Sanford City Council learned in an email sent by the city manager that he had made false statements on matters that had been voted upon on November 14th, 2017, relating to the Cockpit Cafe.
I won't touch the taxation piece of that. The city has not billed you for that miscalculation. It was a miscalculation on our behalf. We have not billed you for that miscalculation. We have corrected the rent to what it should be pursuant to your existing 10-year lease. So that correction has been made.
But
We have not billed you for any back rent that was miscalculated from a prior airport manager. Is that correct?
Well, that's where it's kind of misleading, because from 2003 to current, for that my 10-year lease, according to my lease, it's 1,200. It's 1,200 square feet times $10. That's $1,000 a month. Well, I have it figured out. I don't have it in front of me, but
Correct. The corrected amount is what you're now being charged.
okay.
And the city's not billed you for its own calculation and not picking that error up
No.
in the past.
No.
Nor will we.
Okay.
That's our error.
Okay, so that new amount is basically running from the month-to-month program that we're currently in now, correct?
Through the end of the 10-year lease, the current 10-year lease,
Okay, which ends when?
December 31st, 2017.
Okay, after that, on the month-to-month, it'll be at that same rate?
Correct.
Okay, just make sure we're all on the same page, okay.
It's very concerning to me that the November 14th, 2017 public video is no longer available online, and that's contrary to the Sanford City Council's Rules and Order of Business section number 6 that says all regular city council meetings shall be televised live and recorded for rebroadcast. According to the City Council's meeting minutes for November 21, 2017, the regular meeting minutes for November 14, 2017 were approved by a vote of 6-0. So what happened to the video that should be available for public viewing? Why didn't the airport manager, who had a legal and a moral duty to address the city council, stand up and explain the true details of the situation prior to the vote being taken? What punishment, if any, was given by the city council for that misleading conduct? I don't know. What is certain is that after asking the city manager on June 20th, 2018, to whom in law enforcement was the matter referred, on June 21, 2018, Cockpit Cafe received a threatening response that read in part, "If the city is forced to make a legal review, there will be legal action taken that will impact the tenant," meaning the Cockpit Cafe. That's misprision of felony and attempted conspiracy, whereby the penalties are the same as the original offense. That's a Class B crime. It doesn't make sense for the city manager to, on one hand, say that the matter had been corrected, while also saying that the Cockpit Cafe had not been billed. If there was no bill, then there would be nothing to correct, so the statements are mutually exclusive and were not true. On November 14th, 2017, the Cockpit Cafe owner also asked the city manager to remove the false claim for back rent from the city's records so that she wouldn't get taxed on the amount as income. The city manager, instead of answering the question posed to him, interrupted by asking if a prior manager had billed her for back rent. Perhaps he was implying that the current airport manager was somehow involved in correcting a payment that the city manager claims was done without Cockpit Cafe being billed. I'm not sure what the answer is, but the Cockpit Cafe received no notice of a correction, so his statements were untrue. That's attempt and conspiracy, where the penalties are the same as the original offense. That's a Class B crime. The word shall excludes the idea of discretion and has the significance of imposing a duty which may be enforced, particularly if public policy is in favor of this meaning, or when addressed to public officials, or where a public interest is involved. The City of Sanford solicited bids from the public and engaged the Cockpit Cafe as the prevailing operator, who was the only one to submit a proposal against the city's request for proposals. The process, however, was tainted by a likely felonious conspiratorial set of factors that were part of the color of law custom employed by the city's policymakers in rejecting the Cockpit Cafe proposal, while ignoring ongoing harm being done to the Cockpit Cafe by refusing to answer the October 19, 2017 written lease proposal questions, and by refusing to publicly and effectively clean up the process through documentation and discussion for all to see and to participate in resolving. And just like the Airport Advisory Committee, who voted unanimously to endorse the criminal scheme of back rent, guided solely upon the word of the airport manager, so too did the Sanford City Council vote unanimously when they gave final endorsement of the scheme that was concealed from public exposure by false statements and failure to correct those false statements. That's attempt and conspiracy by policymakers governing the affairs affecting the public interests. I believe that those votes should have been voided, and further discussion on the matter should have occurred prior to taking a corrective vote so as to comply with the city's council's signed code of conduct, item 11, that says a city councilor will make decisions only after the facts bearing on a question have been presented and discussed. 1309.2 says the town official or town meeting member shall avoid the appearance of a conflict of interest, whether there is a technical conflict or not, by disclosure of the facts underlying the potential conflict, and where appropriate, by abstaining from voting on the matter. Furthermore, the vote should have been retaken only after city councilors disclose the financial interest they now have, tainted by the appearance of criminal conspiracy against the Cockpit Cafe, then under consideration for contract for a lease with the city. And they should have abstained from voting on any matter involving the Cockpit Cafe until law enforcement and the judicial process had eliminated them of any appearance of impropriety as a concern. That didn't happen, however. Despite the probable cause evidence of Class B felony crime being committed, that's sufficient enough to support the making of a warrantless private arrest for conspiracy where negligence is an element of crime, and where the result of the vote had the effect, through a scheme or artifice to defraud, of depriving another of the intangible right of honest services, and through such deprivation caused mental and emotional distress for those connected to the Cockpit Cafe. And how does it demonstrate transparent public participation when the actions of the city council, led by the mayor, pursued a governmental custom or policy to work in secret in order to conceal wrongdoing and avoid acknowledgement of their being implicated in the scheme by their own actions and deeds?
The Justice Files, the Justice Files, the Justice Files, the Justice Files. You got no damn right. The Justice Files.